Peace to you. This is Magda course from Computer Science Department. As always, today we are going to see the fourth chapter of the emerging technology, which is called the Internet of Things. Internet of Things. Okay, I think this is a little bit good and then tough chapter. Good and tough chapter, which is going with this technology. So. This Internet of Things is obviously the connection of different devices, the connection of the machines or small devices, and then how these all devices are connected together and then work or perform what we are expected from it. Especially when we start from the title, it says that Internet of Things. Obviously, internet is known because internet is the interconnection of the networks or the network of networks, or you can say that network is connected together and then create the internet. That means what? Internet, or the term internet is what? Came from two words, international network, from international network. So the international network means what? When the networks are connected together and then able to share data and resources internationally or globally, we can say it is the internet. So the concept of this chapter is focuses on the definition of this internet by different organizations and groups, and then the general definition of these things, and then the advantage, disadvantage of Internet of Things, and then what are the challenges in Internet of Things. Finally, we will see the types of interaction in Internet of Things. This is the first part of the Internet of Things, but the second part will be continued next time. So you can follow and then you can be with me. This is my invitation for you. Okay, we say that before we are going to define the definition of this Internet of Things, it is better to know some most important features of the Internet of Things. That means what? To say there is Internet of Things or this is Internet of Things, there are the features which adds value to say this is Internet of Things. So some of the features of this Internet of Things are, as you know, in previous chapter, in the third chapter, as we have learned the artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is one of the feature or the important of the Internet of Things. The second one is connectivity. That means the connection or the connection of the small devices, the sensors, the device which can sense the environment, active engagement, the communication of the devices when they are sharing the data actively, and then the small devices used. So these small devices are connected with together for the sake of sharing the information or the data or resource for the user. So obviously we know that the internet artificial intelligence is the smart object we have said, because what makes it smart is the artificialness of that term, because artificial intelligence is man-made device or man-made thinking power, we have said. Remember that one? Fine. So that is why the Internet of Things is essentially makes virtual anything smart. That means what? Smartness of that means what? It enhances every aspect of life with the power of data collection, artificial intelligence algorithms, and then the networks. So smartness of this artificial intelligence is what? While it is collecting or having the data from different aspects or from different angles, and then the artificial intelligence of algorithms, how it performs, or different codes or writing algorithms, and then the way they are connected to do this one. So this is the artificial intelligence, which is one part of the feature of Internet of Things. Okay. So the second one is the connectivity. The connectivity, especially the new enabling technologies for networking, and especially or specifically the IoT networking means the networks are no longer exclusively tied to the major providers. That means what? The major connection of different devices is what? Must. That is what? It is the connectivity or the connecting of the networks. If this type of major devices or the major network providing devices are not exist, or if they are excluded, then there is no connectivity of the devices. So the connectivity, if the connectivity of the devices are not available or disconnected, we can say that there is no network, and then there is no sharing of the data. That is why. The third one is the sensors. The very special and then important thing is this one, because Internet of Things cannot get any opportunity or cannot work if there is no sensors. If there is no sensors completely, because the sensor is the very important stakeholders in the Internet of Things. So sensors are what? The devices which can measure especially the physical quantities of the environment. That means like the temperature of something, the humidity of something, the soil, especially the climate change of something, and then it can convert this one into what? The signals in which the computer can understand and then send into interpretation for the users. So this is done by the microcontroller units. So this is very important, or the icon of the Internet of Things. Well, the other one is the active engagement. Much of today's interaction with the connected technology happens through what? Through the passive engagement. So IoT devices are what? Introduce the new paradigm for the active content and the product or the service engagement. So it should be what? The active engagement of the Internet of Things should be exist for the today's communication or the most important communication of today's devices. So the new paradigm should be introduced by the Internet of Things for to say the Internet of Things is performing or working this type of things. Then the last one is the small devices. When we are saying the small devices, that are the devices which can be predicted and then have become smaller, cheaper, and then more powerful over the time. Obviously, we know that when the things are becoming in more technological way, there is the chance of minimizing the size of something, and then the chance of decreasing the cost of that one, and then increasing the power or the performance of that devices. So these small devices are, that is why it should be the smaller and then the cheaper and then more powerful work. So IoT exploits what? The purpose built small devices to deliver it is precision, scalability, and then versatility. Okay. So if these are the features of the IoT or Internet of Things, what do you think the definition of the Internet of Things? How the Internet of Things today defined or explained? The first one is some organization which is called as Internet Architecture Board defined the Internet of Things as it is the networking of smart objects. That's very important. That means what? It is the networking of smart objects. The smart objects are connected together. That is called as the Internet of Things, as the definition of this Internet Architecture Board. So that means what? The Internet of Things is the huge number of devices intelligently communicating in what? In the presence of Internet protocol that cannot be directly operated by the human being, but because it is what? It exists as a component is in building or in vehicle or the environment, wherever. Because the internet protocol is what? In the way, or the protocol is actually the rule or the government that controls or that takes how the computers communicate with one another, or how the computers share the data with one another. So that should be in what way? In the intelligent way of communication. So this is the one definition of the Internet of Things by that organization. The second organization is called as Internet Engineering Task Force. This organization, Internet Engineering Task Force organization, are trying to define the Internet of Things as the networking of smart objects, in which these smart objects have what? Some constraints, some lags, some problems, some deficiencies, or some limitations. This type of limitations are the limited bandwidth, the limited power, and then the limited processing accessibility for what? For achieving the interoperability among smart objects. That means what? There is a smart objects which are connected together or which are linked as a network, but whatever they are connected to with one another, or however they are connected with one another, there is what? There is some problem behind. These type of problems or lags or limitations are what? The bandwidth. Bandwidth means what? The amount of data can be transferred on the given time, within the given time. So there is some little bit problem at this thing. And then the power it is performing, the efficiency it is producing is something. And then the processing of this accessibility to achieve what? The interoperability of the smart objects might be the problem. Whatever it is what? It is the smart objects, the networking of the smart objects. Okay, fine. The other is also the other organization are trying to define the Internet of Things. These are the IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Especially, these organizations are mostly popular or known in networking or computer networking area. So this IEEE organization tried to define the Internet of Things as the framework of all things. That means what? When they are saying all things, what? All devices or all things in the presence of what? Internet. That means what? There is the internet. So if there is an internet, indirectly there is what? There is the network. So if there is a network, there should be data sharing, or there should be the communication of the devices. So this is the framework of all internet or things, but there should be what? The existence of the network or the internet in the way that new applications and services enable to interaction in the physical and the virtual world in the form of machine-to-machine communication. So, especially when the machine-to-machine communication, there should be what? In the form of the globally or in the cloud, it is said. So, some broader definition of this IEEE organization is talking about in addition to the previous definitions, because there is what? The application and then the services of the devices to do what? To interact the physical and the virtual world. The virtual and the physical worlds are what? Existed in the communication of this framework of all things, and then in the form of what? Machine-to-machine communication or M2M communication in the cloud. This is the other definition of the Internet of Things. And also other organizations have defined different way of definition, but whatever it is, the definition of them are similar, but they are using different terms or terminologies to define. So if they are defining this one, we can consider or we can get the little bit understanding from this one. So the term Internet of Things is, according to 2020, conceptual framework is expressed through the simple formula such as we can see, or in another way, we can generalize the definition of these organizations as Internet of Things is to say there is Internet of Things, there should be service, there should be data, there should be network, and then there should be the sensors. So the combination of these four devices or things can create Internet of Things. Or else you can say that Internet of Things is the network of devices that can sense as a sensor, accumulate and transfer data over the internet without what? Without any human intervention. If it is already ordered to do so, then there is no need of human intervention to operate or to order or to say or to do some action upon the ordered instructions on these small networked devices. So if there is especially the data which should be communicatable among the different small devices, if there is the network that connects small devices, if there is the sensor which collects different data from the environment, and then if these are connected together and then give the service, if they can give the service for the user, and then we can say that this is the Internet of Things or IoT. So we can generalize as IoT or Internet of Things is smart objects networking, or we can say smart object networking, SON, we can say in short form, because in the previous different organizations or the previous organizations are what? Touching these points, smart object, networking of smart objects. So there is nothing different from that one, but the way they are describing and then the way this is generalized might be different unless they are having the same target or the same definition. Thank you. And then the other thing is the Internet of Things has found its application in several areas, especially there are application of this Internet of Things. Internet of Things can be applicable or exist in different areas or locations, like for example in connected industries, in smart city, in smart home, smart energy, especially you can say in smart home. When you are saying smart home, when you are living in the home, there is a refrigerator, there is a stove or oven, and then there is a bulb, and then a switch. Then there is a switch. Switch is one of the smart object, and then the fluorescent or bulb is one of the objects. So when you are pressing on, and then the light will come. When you are pressing off, the light will go. So that is what? There is the Internet of Things. And then also in the refrigerator, in stove, these all are the things in the connected cars. And then in smart agriculture, we will see these all things are later. So these all are the some examples or application areas of the Internet of Things easily. I think it is a little bit clear for you. It's fine. So you can see here, for example, these are the different devices or different objectives which are found in this world and then connected together to get what? To get some function, to get a function. So Internet of Things is what? The interconnection of these all devices in the medical, in at home, in music, in radio, in television, in any clock or in any transportation vehicles, in whatever. So these are connected together and then creating what? They are creating the Internet of Things. If they are connected together, the internet can be exist. So these all are the IoT can utilize or use the things around it and then create the Internet of Things itself. Okay, so what are some advantages of and disadvantages of IoT? We can say that advantage of IoT is it improves customer engagement, especially when the customer is connected to the owner or connected to this Internet of Things, then they can easily get what they want. Then technology optimization, it increases or modifies what? To achieve the maximum efficiency of the Internet of Things. That means what? The technology of the society will be what? Maximized or optimized. Reduce waste. That means what? For example, IoT makes the areas of improvement clear. Or we can use and then sense the environment and then clear or make some wastage removed. So we can understand this one as advantage of the Internet of Things. And then enhanced data collection. Yeah, because from the features of the Internet of Things we have seen previously, there is the sensor. So the sensor's function is what? Collecting the data from the environment. So if you want to collect the data from different areas, then you can use the Internet of Things easily. So this and then some other advantages of IoT are here. Okay, so again we can see the disadvantage of it. Some of the disadvantage of the IoT. The first one is the device's connection increment and the shared information between the devices increases the hackers to steal the confidential information. That means what? When the connection of the devices are increased, or when the amount of the devices connected to one another is increasing, or if there is the complex communication of the devices, that means what? When the users of the internet or the user of the connection are increasing, they are creating the complex connection. So when this type of increment of devices connected with one another exists, then it is a chance for the hackers or the individuals who try to attack or steal the confidential information of somebody. That means what? It is a problem of the security. The problem of the security. The second one is if there is a problem, error or a bug in the system, the central system of the devices, and then it is most likely the problem to be the corruption of the other devices which are connected to it. That means what? If the system by itself is problem or bug or error, and then the whole system will be problems which are connected to it. That means what? In a short, if our mind is not performing, or if we are headaches, for example, as a best example, if our mind has headache or a problem of mind, then other parts or bodies of us will be what? Failed or feel something not comfortable. So that is why we are not feeling comfort when we are problem of head or the centrally the brain of us has a problem. So the same is true if the systems and central system is a problem or bug or any error or corrupted, then the other devices which are connected to it will be what? Corrupted. This is the other problem of the Internet of Things or disadvantage of Internet of Things. Then the third one is, since there is no international standard for compatibility for Internet of Things, it is what? Difficult for the devices from different manufacturers for communication purpose. That means what? There is no internationally, if there is no international standard for the devices, for example, for the slot or for the different devices you are using. So for example, this is my earphone. So if the manufacturer of this earphone, the size of this earphone is not matching with another, or if it is internationally not standardized, then I am only using this earphone only for my laptop, this one only, or it is only done for the laptop or devices which are manufactured in the same factory, unless we are standardizing that one. So this type of no standardization or international standard is available, so it is difficult to buy other devices because it might be mismatch or spare part of that device may not be available for another time. So that is one of the problem or one of the things which we are always expecting as a problem of the or the disadvantage of the Internet of Things actually. Okay, the other thing of the Internet of Things is the collection of, especially collecting and managing the data from all of IoT devices will be what is challenging. That is challenging because we cannot easily collect all things and then manage all things, because the number of users, the number of people who are using the internet are increasing very much or huge. Because if you remember in the second chapter in the data science, there is a big data. So if you see, the user of the internet today is different from the user of internet before 10 years, before 20 years, and then it will be different after 10 years, after 20 years. That means what? When the technology is increasing, when the people's generation is becoming the modern technology users, then there will be the complexity of the things. So in that way, collecting that type of data and then managing this type of data will be what? Very challenge. It will be very problem. So that is again the problem or the disadvantage of the Internet of Things. It's fine to use this Internet of Things as general. The things or the challenges the users are facing will be this one. The first one is the security. The security is one of the challenge or the problem, because the IoT little control exposes users to attackers, because there is about the problem of the security as a disadvantage. But this is a general issues or challenges on the IoT. The second one is the privacy, especially the sophistication of IoT provides substantial personal data in extreme detail without what? Without the user's active participation. So this is a very problem of the Internet of Things. The other one is complexity, as I've said before, because if the complexity increases, the security will be what? The problem. So that is why the complexity, the way the things are designed, deployed, and then maintained will be very challenging or the problem. Because if there is complex design, if complex deployment, then maintaining this type of problem, identifying the problem where the problem is, or addressing the area of the problem is what? The challenging or the problem for maintain or to get the solution for that problem. The other one is flexibility, worrying IoT systems compatibility, because maybe this is about the standardization of this one, or as if the devices are compatible with one another or not. This is one of the problem. The last one is about the compliance. That means what? IoT complexity makes the issues of compliance incredibly challenging, because if there is no standard, if there is a very complex and then difficult to use this type of devices, then the society or the user or the customer of this one will be what? Complain upon what they are facing. So this is also the challenge to fix and then to get the best appropriate or user-friendly Internet of Things. The other one is the types of interactions in Internet of Things. There are three types of interactions in the Internet of Things. The first one is device-to-device communication or interaction. That means what? When the two devices are connected with one another. So this type of devices may be used in home automations. So there is a low data rate requirement. For example, as I've said before, there is a light and then the bulb and then the lock and then thermostat send a small amount of information to each other, because when you are pressing the switch and then it will be on or off based on the way we are pressing. So this type of, or when you are locking your door by Wi-Fi or by the remote controller, then when you are opening your television by the remote controller, this type of devices are what? The device-to-device communication. the television is a device and the remote controller is the device, so they are what, controlling one another. So there is two bulbs, especially as you see from the picture here. This is one bulb, and then there is the mediator in which they are communicating. That means what, for example, wireless networks like Zigbee or Z-Wave or Bluetooth. This is a way of connection, and then the switch will be what, somewhat connected, or to give light, or it will be switched off. The second one is device to cloud communication. The device to cloud communication means what, the model is used to extend the capability of the devices by sending data to the cloud. For what purpose? For the analysis purpose, for analysis. That means what, the data should be collected, or the device collects the data and then send it to the cloud for the communication of analyzing and then getting some response from that one. So you can consider this is the small device, and then also this one is also a small device, this one is also a small device, and then these two small devices are what, communicating or sending the data to the cloud. Then the data or the cloud can collect the data from the small devices or smart devices and then give analyze upon that one. So for example, Nest Lab Learning Thermostat. The device sends data to the cloud to analyze the home energy consumption. Sorry, again. So that is why. And then again, you can use the television to review information to something or enable interactive voice to recognizing system. So when we are connecting our devices to television with the cable or with the power, and then controlled by the remote. Okay, well, the third one is the device to gateway communication. So device to gateway communication means what? Almost similar with the device to cloud communication, but the difference one is there is a gateway which is interaction or intermediate between the device and then smart device and the cloud, which is called as the local gateways. So this gateway is a device which is used between the device and the cloud. That means what? Device to gateway communication model creation should be available. So you can see the fitness trackers. This device don't have a native facility to connect to the cloud directly. So since it cannot able to communicate with the cloud, but the data analyzing is must for that one. So instead of directly connecting to the cloud, it is must to do to what? To get some indirect communication. This indirect communication is what? The local gateway. The local gateway. So this protocol can uses the IP address or the device's IP and then send this one into the local gateway. Then local gateway send it to the cloud. The cloud responds to the local gateway, and then the local gateway sends it back to the smart objects or the small objects. This is the way of this, the communication of the device to gateway communication. Okay, thank you for having time with me, and then this is only the first part or part one of the Internet of Things, and then next we will see you, and then I will see you also in the second part of this Internet of Things. If you are happy on this video, you can subscribe, you can like, and then you can share for the friends who want to get some little bit understanding on this emerging technology courses, especially for students of the university. Thank you for having time with me. Bye bye.